FinCon 2022, it came and went. And in this video, hey, I got a special guest who's going to join me, and we're going to chop it up and discuss the good, the bad, the ugly. Uh, it's definitely more good. I don't think it was anything ugly. I can only think of a few things that were bad, but it had nothing to do really with the event per se. So yeah, we're gonna chop it up and discuss all of that. Hey, I'm Marcus. You're the channel, the Debt Free Dad. I'm always throwing out my disclaimer on the front end because I don't want that smoke with the Bar Association. I'm a licensed attorney, not your attorney, so this isn't legal advice or financial advice or none of that. This is just me giving my opinion and takes on topics as we discuss finances and current events. And I'm letting y'all know what we got cracking in the household of the Debt Free Dad. Now, for my special guest today, I'm about to tell you what's always dope. It's always dope when I have a chance to connect with someone who I consider my family that I met off of YouTube and actually meet them in person. And this is my second FinCon I've been to. My last FinCon, I had a chance to meet some dope people who I met and knew solely from YouTube. I actually met a subscriber who was like, hey, let's grab lunch. And I was really excited. And this year, hey, I met a lot of dope YouTubers who I only know them from the social media space. But hey, I was able to put that connection. My homegirl, Shalise, Mommy Trader. If y'all don't know, y'all make sure y'all go down, check out her link in the description over to her YouTube channel. Now, in order for me to follow you as a YouTuber, it's really like 2 or 3 things that I like people to have. You know what I mean? The first thing is one, I'm an attorney who essentially investigates, prosecute financial crimes. That's kind of my area of expertise. So once I watch your videos for a while, if you don't say anything that comes across as being criminal, that's always a notch in your favor in my book. 2, I have to like your story. I'm always a story guy. I like channels who give me some gems about a subject, but they got a story, they got a journey. And her family are going towards their journey to being financially independent so they can retire early. So that's number 2. Hey, you aren't telling me anything that's criminal. Number 2, hey, you got a story that I could follow that attaches me to your content. And the third thing is transparency. I like to show my budget. I like to show my investments. I like to show how all those things are going out. So I respect the people who are actually showing their real numbers. I mean, this is just me. I don't know. Everybody rock different, but if you telling me how you invest and all of that stuff, hey, I'm gonna listen to it. I got the jewels, but the people who give me a story behind it, the people who showing me their numbers as they growing their net worth, like, hey, when I see that stuff, it really gets me on board. She has a lot of great content, but she also has a lot of stuff, a lot of deliverables, some of which are free too. Free 99, you can't beat free 99, but they're all designed to help you on your finance journey, on your journey to whatever you determine financial freedom is. So let's go ahead and loop in. Hey, my sister, my Ace Boonku, who I had the chance to meet in person. Let's go and tag Mommy Trader in. What's going on, sister? I was trying to make sure your intro did you justice because I was like, nah, this the homie. I gotta make sure I come hard.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your channel. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing it. Definitely grateful. So go ahead, introduce yourself. Anything I missed, anything you want to say, go ahead, tell them where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Shalise. I am a mama, a wife, and like Marcus said, we are just trying to really work and grind now so that we can chill later. In a nutshell, if I had to just say it in one sentence. And I love posting content about just all things wealth building, just like Marcus does, and really inspire a lot of people to start. It's not scary. You're not too late. Just start. And if you start today, you'd be surprised at how much ground you can make up in a short amount of time. And my socials, YouTube, Mommy Trader, Insta, Mommy Trader, YouTube channel, TikTok, Mommy Trader 7. It's Mommy Trader in a lot of the socials. If you type me in, you'll find me.
Dope. So before we dive into FinCon, I gotta ask you a question. I didn't even tell you what this question was. I like my questions to be blind. Hey, I learned that from the event. Renita Young, shout out to her. Hey, you don't want to give up all your questions right away. So when I was doing the description and I was tagging you in the channel, I need to know the backstory behind your YouTube channel link being sweet potato pie. What's up with that?
It's my favorite dessert. I love it.
Trader or MT. I was like, what?
I love it. And I'll tell you this, not everybody makes it right. So
okay.
It's my favorite. I could eat it all year. I could eat it for breakfast. I love sweet potato pie. It's my thing.
Okay, all right. So pumpkin pie, is that a pass or?
I like pumpkin spice like coffee, but in terms of pie, it's just two. It's apple and sweet potato. That's it.
I said pumpkin pie. You just frowned up. So let's go ahead and dive into this FinCon thing. FinCon, for everybody who don't know, is, I mean, you would think it was like about shark fins or dolphin fins. It's a financial conference, FinCon. They just merged them together. And me personally, I literally had no clue what the hell it was until last year when I was like, man, I got to learn something about this finance space, this YouTube game, and it just popped up. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I found out about it. Were you always familiar with FinCon, or you just kind of came across it, or what's up?
No, I heard about FinCon from you. And it sounded interesting. I never really heard of a conference where they kind of advertise. We talk about money, like come on down. We're going to talk about all about money. And so when you talked about yours last year, I was intrigued, like, oh, okay, this sounds like something that I would love to attend. And I'm glad. And then you put out a video talking about you could apply for scholarships. It was, oh my goodness. And it reminded me, and I was like, oh, let me just apply and see what they say. And they said yes, and then I put out there, my daughter is interested, and it was like, bring her too. We'll pay for her to come. And so, that's how I heard about it. Was through you. So again, each one teach one, reach one. Definitely.
And for me, in any type of environment, being an attorney, just being a woman of color, I always appreciate being able to see diversity in anything. That's why I was like, man, they give scholarships out. Let me put this out there. So that's dope that you got it. So let's dive in to FinCon. Before we talk about the good of it and what it was, I'm going to talk about the thing that kind of drove me crazy about it. Okay. I'm gonna start out with the bad, right? And hey, shout out to everybody who, I volunteered for I volunteered, but I gotta talk about it. The hotel accommodations kind of pissed me off. I'm gonna just be honest. Now, I didn't stay at the hotel that it was at because I know myself. I like to be able to get out and go and walk somewhere and sit at a restaurant, sit at a bar. And this hotel was beautiful and immaculate. And it might have been the only hotel that could actually facilitate the event because you had so many speakers and things going on simultaneously. So I get that. But as far as walkability, hey, this is the first curse word of the show. It kind of sucked ass. I stayed 5 minutes away at a separate hotel that was on a resort. And the downfall was I had to travel and park and have a car. But because it was a little bit cheaper, the money all played out the same. But at least it was comfortable for me. So if it was 8, 9 o'clock, I could walk out of my little room and go down to a couple of restaurants that were open to like midnight. So that was really the only bad thing about it. Logistically, I would have went crazy if I would have stayed at that hotel because it was just in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know if that was a bad for you, but I just had to get that out the way first and foremost. Love you, FinCon.
I agree. It wasn't FinCon. The hotel also was hosting another conference, and so it was very crowded, especially if you wanted to just get like a coffee or something. It was just a madhouse at lunchtime or at dinner time. The garage, and we stayed at the hotel. And the garage is far from the actual room. It's literally like a 15-minute journey from your room to the garage. So if it's raining, if we went to Target the first night to get some things for the room, you got to kind of walk, and valet will not even let you like unload there unless you're checking in. So it's a big hotel. You come with some comfortable shoes because you're going to be walking a lot, there. And so, it was crowded, and not so much, like I said, FinCon, but there was another conference there. So if you wanted to get something simple, for just the bathrooms and the walkways and stuff, it was just a madhouse. It was an absolute madhouse.
Do you know what the other conference was that was there?
It was like a MLM type of company. I was talking to somebody else about it. It was definitely shady vibes. I'm not throwing no shade, but
I started a conversation with one of them, just asking, like, dumb me. I should have kept my damn mouth shut. Like, hey, what are y'all here from? And it went from explaining to a sales pitch. I was like, oh shit. Why? I was like, why I asked them this question? Yeah. Well, one day I go into detail about when your boy was selling prepaid legal, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother show when I was involved in some foolishness like that. Now, let's get back to FinCon, all right? So I want to start out, since we got him on the thumbnail. Hey, if anybody out here is watching from any of those guys' channel, hey, Unc Larry, Keenan, Stock Mo, if you're watching from any of those guys' channel, the way I set up that thumbnail was because, hey, Unc made a joke about Larry, Mo, and Curly, and I was like, damn, that's a good thumbnail idea. So don't come for me if y'all out there. I know y'all armies are strong. Don't bombard me. It was a joke that they made at the conference, and utmost respect for those guys. Mm-hmm. But I put those guys on the thumbnail because for me, I think their presentation was probably one of the two that stood out the most for me. Mm-hmm. And of course, they, when you go to these conferences, they give you some finance gems, but they also give you gems as a content creator. You're creating content. These are the ways you can monetize it. These are ways you can reach your audience. But for me, and then once I make this point, I'm going to just punt it over to you to give me your thoughts just on their presentation. Then we'll open it up. Their conversation resonated with me because, I appreciate genuineness. As somebody who's defended people who had multi-million-dollar Ponzi schemes and put bank CEOs in jail, I appreciate people who are genuine. And without a doubt, those gentlemen actually give a damn about the people who are viewing their content and they really want to help. It's not just, hey, we got a lot of subscribers and we can do this and that from a marketing standpoint. The first thing that came out of everybody's mouth, and I had a chance to have maybe a 15, 20-minute conversation the day prior with Larry, Unc, shout out to Unc. And the first thing that came out of each of their mouths was, if I can help somebody else get their financial situation better. And so for me, that showed that, hey, these guys, hey, they're winning, but they're winning by putting other people on. So that's why that one kind of stood out for me the most. What about you?
I think, I'll tell you this. When I was headed towards the conference and I knew that they were going to be there, I was a little nervous because when you watch people online and they have such a big presence, you are a little bit, apprehensive about it. And I was bringing my daughter and she knew of these guys. And so I was like hopeful that it wouldn't be different from what I was viewing online because she's very impressionable as a young person. But let me tell you, meeting these guys in person, they are just as if not even more kinder and real in person. I'm telling you, and you were there, Marcus, when the conference when their little talk was over, and it went over the time actually. Mm-hmm. And it was like standing room. It went over the time, and they said, you guys had to leave because there's another talk. We all literally followed them into the lobby, and each one of them had a group of people around them, and they talked to each one of us. We had to been in that lobby for 2 hours.
Right.
Talking to each of us, like, what's your channel? Bring it up. What some things are you trying to do better? And we'll literally go over it with you right then and there. It was like a breath of fresh air because, like I said, super down to earth. They were really interested in pouring themselves into you. Like, I remember had a chance to meet all of their wives, which are wonderful women, by the way. And they the wives were like, it's time to go get something to eat. You've been standing, you haven't eaten all day, you haven't drank. And they was just, I'm coming, but still answering the questions that we had. And if there was concerns that we had. And I can tell you, I appreciate that. I appreciate transparency. I appreciate just the fact that they're willing to help somebody else out. In this space, especially if you have a lot of subscribers, people don't have the connection anymore.
Right.
Those guys, like what they are really connected to their supporters.
Right.
And
Right.
Keenan said, if you remember in his talk that he had, he said that there's a difference between followers and supporters, and you need to make sure you are giving your supporters something of value every time you post a video, because it's a relationship. And
Right.
I
Right.
thought that was so like yes, you have to really pour into them, and in turn they will pour into you by supporting your content and things like that. So when I tell you again, like, I agree with you, their talk was probably my favorite because I felt connected. I felt like, and I loved all of the talks. I was in a lot of the good sessions and things, but like their talk was my favorite because they answered a lot of questions. They were involved, they were really connected, and they were really willing to like reach out and help you be better. It wasn't just like,
Right.
come support us. They wanted you to be better. You could ask them questions, and oh my goodness, I loved it. Like, I loved it. And so
Right.
yeah, that's my little spiel on it.
Yeah, so like I said, I think we're on the same page. I think theirs was one of the ones that really stood out because, like you said, they're genuinely there to help their subscribers and their supporters, but they also there to help content creators. So I definitely agree. Now, I put this in the title. I got to tell y'all real quick, and this is going to be the first time you hear this story. So I seen Larry the day before, right? And I said, man, I need to go over there and talk to Unc. He ain't had no crowd around him or nothing. It was just him and Keenan, and they just kind of walking around. And and I saw Keenan there, but I was like, man, me and Unc probably closer in age brackets than Keenan is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I go over there to have a conversation with him, and I'm like, hey man, I appreciate your content, blah blah blah. And we start talking, and I said, yeah, I'm familiar with you and Keenan and everything. I said, some of the things y'all got, I'm also holding. And so he was like, well, what are you holding? What are you holding? So I go into now, y'all, if y'all watch my channel, y'all know like I'm like 85% a funds guy, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
ETFs, and I don't really, but I dabble around in single stock. So I'm like, hey, I used to pharmaceutical background. So I got some Merck and some Pfizer. And then when I said these two words, Aunt gave me the meanest ice grill ever. And he kind of side-eyed me. It was like, I could feel the heat coming off of him. I was like, yeah. And I said, I got to know what's going on with Shiba Inu and AMC. And he stopped, his smile went away, and he turned and just kind of gave me the side eye. And I was like, I knew exactly where he was going. And I got like, you never know how like, it felt like, you know how like a parent or a Sunday school teacher give you a look. And I was like, immediately when he looked at me, I was like, oh, no. I was like, I don't go to Vegas. So AMC and Shiba Inu is just a play. It's not a mortgage payment. It's nothing like that. Hey, if I lose it, I won't go broke. And he was like, the first thing he said, he was like, man, you won't believe like how many people I talk to who put like large amount of funds that they could potentially need in those stocks. So literally based off of that conversation we had, I was like, oh man, I could tell that this dude gave a damn what I was doing, because he didn't want me to have too much risk with something that is just a play. Those are really just kind of gambles that you just do if you got a little excess and you can afford to play with it. So I thought that was dope that he, genuinely cared about it. And he also gave me some gems on my content. I don't know if y'all know this, but a lot of my content, I started tying in current events with a financial nexus as well, just to try to attract more people to come in and they can get the finance gems. So he actually gave me some good feedback on that. But if you got Shiba Inu or AMC and you ever speak to, hey, stock up with Larry Jones, you damn sure better not have your whole life savings in it, because he gonna give you he gonna school you on it. So now that we got that out the way, tell me, next up, outside of those guys speaking and them dropping that gems, what was on your list for like big takeaways and things you enjoyed?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the smaller like breakout sessions I was really interested in. They had one talking about estate planning in detail. And you guys know I have a special needs son. So, or if you didn't know, I have a son that has autism. And so I really wanted to know more detail in terms of setting up a trust and how to make sure, that the money that we are saving and investing for him, he gets. and it's not taxed crazy. And, I wanted to know more about the state laws around it and, all of those particulars. And I really enjoyed like those smaller sessions where I could ask questions and, I could really get some true insight. And these were professionals. Like I was in a session with an actual lawyer who dealt with like estate laws and things like that. So I could ask from a specific, person in that profession, like, do you have any advice with this particular situation that I'm in? And I love the one thing I really loved about just overall with FinCon is that every speaker you could go up to and you could talk to. Like it wasn't like they were like, taken off the stage and went backstage and you never saw them again. These people, you could have access to and really kind of get more information from. And so, like I said, I was able to talk to like tax professionals and lawyers and like, in addition to like media influencers and, content creators, it was a really well-rounded like event.
Right.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. One of the presentations that stood out with me, well, there was a couple of them. One was by a gentleman, I think his name was, and I know his last name is Villalobos. I think his first name was William, but it was create 30 days of content in one day. And I saw that and I woke up early. I was like, I need to get to that shit because sometimes the boy DFD had to cut this camera on the day before. And I can't keep living like that. That's a I don't know if y'all creators have to do that, but sometimes I'd be like, oh shit, tomorrow Wednesday, I need a video. I gotta get it here. I got it all written down. I just don't go through the recording process. So for me, that was one of the videos that really stood out. I'll tell you the other thing that I liked is just the overall camaraderie. Like literally, I did a live a few days ago where I was talking about generational wealth and T.I. and his son's arrest. And I, how I got to that generational wealth, I was like, I'm sure T.I. got enough dough to where he has everything structured to where and again, his son is young and his son may come around. He young, you gonna make mistakes. But I'm sure T.I. got things set up to where one knucklehead child isn't going to mess up the bag for his future generations. And somehow we started talking about life insurance because, that's a part of building generational wealth. And questions came up, and some questions I knew the answers to. Other one, I know what I don't know, but I won't let you know what I don't know. So I said, I got to get off this thing. But I was able to reach out to people I met literally and say, hey, anybody's trying to do a live, I need somebody whose area of expertise is insurance. And literally, like in 10 minutes, 7 people got to me, was like, I can do it. And for me, that was really dope, having that, building those relationships to where you can reach out immediately and get somebody to help you educate, potential viewers.
And I'll tell you, that was one of the things I was really hoping for when I brought my daughter. I wanted her to really see that there's like social media and then there's the real way people make money or grow their wealth. Like in teenagers now, they want to be a YouTuber when they grow up because they want to be a TikToker. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it has to be placed in its proper, like perspective in terms of, that could be an option. But, what you see a lot of times online with people flashing clothes and shoes and going on trips and stuff, a lot of that is not real. And so I wanted her to come and see what real wealth looked like. I'll tell you this, when I went there and I met several millionaires there, nobody at this whole conference looked like a millionaire. Nobody was flashy. Nobody, it was just regular people. And I wanted her to see, like, this is what it really looks like. It's regular people. You don't have to, if you really enjoy something and you want to buy it, that's different. But if you're a teenager nowadays, social media is very impressionable. They see it and they're like, okay, that's what real life is. No, that's not real life. Like, you got to work for the things that you have. You have to be wise with your money. You have to budget. You have to invest young now so that you can, get to this point, when you're 30. And the amount of people that actually stopped and talked to my daughter, like big influencers that pulled her aside, like even you told her, this is really important. Make sure you be wise with your money. It's important to, budget correctly while you're young now. Listen to your mom. A lot of people said that. Listen to your mom. And that is what I want poured into her. That is what I wanted her to experience. And so to me, that was the greatest takeaway from FinCon was she got it. She got it at 16 years old. That's what I loved about this.
Right. And that's the thing, you know, when you talk about children, you give them the jewels and you pray to God, like, please, Lord, let these lessons sink in. You know, what it say, if you train a child in the way that she come and they should not depart. Hey, my mother grew up in church. The scripture was something like that, but y'all know what the hell I mean. You give the kids these gems and you be like, let these gems stick. So I think that was dope that you actually had your daughter there. I'll tell you, and your daughter was really attentive and observant to what was going on. Now, I love my son, but if my son was there, he would have been in the room playing video games. I already know. Hey, I love my boy, but I know what I'm working with, right? So, hey, I saw this comment right here, and it's crazy that, you know, that was really a model of the past. You see this, and you talk about, you know, like, you wish you had something like that. And Erin, shout out to Erin, she's in Australia. And I was like, you know, it's funny because a lot of times there is a big fee for financial education. You know, I think that was kind of the norm. So, hey, I don't know. You may want to look up some of the FinCon founders. You may could get a little sub chapter over there in Australia, and they may work with you. I'm telling you, folks there are that receptive. And I know because I volunteered on the committee there, but they're that receptive. If someone reached out and they can work out something, you know, you never know. So it's funny. Hey, I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, shout out to if y'all don't know, y'all need to check out her YouTube channel. Very interesting YouTube channel, but she gave a dope class, a dope presentation, and she gave a dope breakdown because, you know, she asked a question and I thought this was dope. She's like, how many people here want like a bunch of subscribers? How many people want YouTube income? And when this sister put up that pie chart to show just how revenue streams break down, I was like, you know, I already can't see and shit. So I was like, I was like, where's YouTube? I was like, I can't see YouTube. What the hell is YouTube? She's like, YouTube is so small, you don't even see it. The algorithm didn't even put it on the pie chart. That amount was so small. So she had a really good presentation that showed, you know, just about tips for growing, but also tips for streamline and process. You know what I mean? You got to think about it. This thing that we do, whether you started out to be a business or not, eventually it's going to turn into the point, if you keep at it, where it becomes a business and you're going to have to learn how to scale things. You can't be up all hours of the night like DFD over here doing editing and shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying, sis?
Oh, I don't have the time to be up all night. One of the things I learned from FinCon is that if you're trying to build up your brand, whatever it is, you really need to be focused on structure. And I film a lot of my videos, and I'm serious, at like 5 a.m. because the house is quiet. There's not a lot of, you know, mom, you know, and I can literally knock out 2 to 3 videos from 5 to 6:30, just filming. I'm not really editing anything, just filming. And I figure I can edit like if I'm in the car line at school or something like that, but I just need to get the videos filmed. And I wake up, and I'm an early riser anyway, but you know, that statement really resonated with me because like I said, I'll be up all, like I have been up all night.
Right.
Way back when I first started, and I realized, baby, you don't have to be. Like, you structure your time, and I do my content a lot in the morning time. And so, you know, it helps me to be able to focus on other things like making sure I'm communicating in the comments. And again, they talked about this at FinCon, being engaging with your supporters and making sure that you're real. That was another thing. Like, realness is because, you know, people can feel it, they can feed off of it, and they'll keep coming back. And you know, and one of the things that I had asked, and you were there when I asked us about, you know, keeping your voice, because as you grow, there's opportunity for, you know, you to kind of not be yourself. And I always want to remain who I am, but still, you know, grow and expand, you know, in the right areas. And I just, like I said, I appreciated people, you know, trying to help you in your particular situation. Like if you're an introvert, okay, then this is what you can do. If you're, there wasn't a one size fits all approach. And that's what I love. Like, I love that. Like anybody can do this, no matter where you are, how your personality is. And so, oh my goodness. Like I said, Marcus, I got so much out of it.
And I agree. You know, it's funny because when you ask that question about, you know, not losing your voice, that was something that, I guess one of my mentors in YouTube kind of put me on to. He was like, man, whatever it is you talking about, it's 100 other people out there talking about it. The only thing that's going to make it different is what you bring to it, your perspective, how you feel. And so, it's funny, like my first few videos, I was buttoned up like a mother. Welcome to the debt-free day. I was buttoned up, and I was like, man, you know what? I got to wear this suit all day and talk to professionals and jurors all day. Nah, I'm gonna talk like I'm talking to the homies. so, like I'm that guy who, when I leave work, I put my do-rag on. But it's cool to, like I said, you maintaining that personality is something that people really wanted to see. I thought this was a dope comment right here. What does a millionaire look like? It's so cool to see how we all could talk without any flex. Now, before I kick this over to you, because you talked about this a little bit, I ain't gonna say this is a flex because I'm a person of, I like nice shit. I'm not a minimalist by any means. I want a nice car. I want nice clothes. I'm gonna get nice stuff. I'm just gonna get it, pay what I want to pay for it, and do it with a plan. I'm not just gonna jump out there and grab it. And so I tell you, I ain't gonna say it's a flex, but I noticed it because very few people were like wearing chains at this event. So I had on like a chain as one of my brother old chain. It is a little something, but it ain't nothing too fancy. And I ran into, somebody I met last year. I ran into, shout out Anthony O'Neill, AO. But when he came in, I was like, damn, dog, you icy. He had about three. I had one chain on. I had one chain, like a bracelet, a watch, nice little something. He came in, he had the double chains. I was like, damn, I should have brought the extras. but shout out to him because I know whatever it is he got, he has it from a point of having it because I planned to have it, not because I just bought it to impress somebody else. So that was dope. But yeah, bro, you were shining. I saw you.
Yes, exactly.
And so, I think the other thing is like we all learn from like trial and error. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was dope to see one of my again, a good YouTube friend of mine. He's a tax professional. So he Kamari Ellis, the financial rebel. And I didn't see him. He just walked up on me and he got this real distinctive voice. And I was like, oh shit, that's the financial rebel. I turned around, I heard his voice. I was like, that's the financial rebel. But everybody there was willing to help. I mean, to the point of like, hey, you want to pull out your phone or your camera and shoot something live real quick with no matter who it was, no matter what their following was. So I definitely thought that was dope. Let me ask you a question. I guess, what if you could have saw a course or a class that you would have taken that you didn't see available? Do you got a topic or something because I kind of got one in mind, but I wanted to ask you that question first. Like, I'm actually going to do the write-up for it because I think it's a good topic to discuss. But was there anything that, like, man, they had so much and they probably covered everything, but is there anything specifically that you was like, damn, I wish they would have had something that focused on this? Or could you think of anything offhand or not?
I really, Marcus, I'm really passionate about letting people know that it's not too late. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you pull up a bunch of charts and data, you should be starting at 20, but not everybody has that come to Jesus moment where you get it. And I really would have, like I said, I thought everything was great. But if I was asked, like, what would you add to this? Definitely some sessions around like where to start if you are getting on this train later in life. And because I think a lot of people believe that, oh my goodness, I didn't start at 20. I didn't start at 25. I don't make a big income. Like I have all this debt. I have a family already. Like, how can I actually do this? And it would be great to see something that's geared towards that, because people won't start on that path if they don't believe they can actually do it. And I was talking to one person and she was saying, I don't think I can do it. And she was 50. I said, well, when do you plan on retiring? She said, 67, this the usual time. I said, that's 17 years. You can do a lot in 17 years. It may not be 40 years or 30 years, but 17 years. If you had a child, you could see that child from infancy all the way through graduation of high school. So definitely you can do a lot. And if like I said, if I could pick one thing, it would be something geared towards that.
Okay. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. For me, I think the beginning stages of any journey is important.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a fitness journey, because that's what's going to make you or break you, the beginning stages. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, like, I guess my ignorance is kind of bliss, because I'm one of them people who, like, I, I really can't comprehend failure, because
Mm-hmm.
if I'm still doing it and I do it to the day I die, I'm gonna be like, tomorrow's gonna be that day. So it's a little bit of ignorance there, but, like, like, this sounds crazy, but is without a question. I feel like one day I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna look at my channel and I'm gonna see 10,000 subscribers and
Yeah.
crazy views and 50,000, because that's just what it is. That's just kind of how my minds work. But I feel like that beginning stage. And so for me, last year when I went, I thought it was wild, because I had to, some of it again is people think different, and some of it is a little bit of arrogance on my part. But I met a lot of people last year who were like, I'm attending FinCon and I'm thinking about doing something but haven't done something yet. And at the time when I first heard that, I was like, why the hell would you come here if you ain't turn on the damn camera and record something? It didn't take me to like months later when I sat down and thought about it. And I was like, everybody's not willing to take that jump. And so for me, I think a dope course, and I already know, hey, if anybody's still this, I'm coming for y'all right now. But a dope course is like, ish I wish I knew before I started YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I think a course that really is for the people who didn't do anything. You just came here and you paid thousands of dollars to come out here and travel to see what everybody was doing, because you thinking about turning on something and recording. They really need a really raw course for those people. Like, advice step number one: turn on the camera. I don't care what it is. You'd be amazed at what people watch. I got videos that I go and look at now, and I'd be like, everybody who watched that shit, I should send them a money order, a gift card, because that shit was terrible. So for me, a course that focused on those really beginning stages in any particular area. I don't care if it's a blog or a podcast, but those very people who didn't do anything, who thinking about it, that class to just push them, to make them jump, for me, is something that I thought about. Yeah. So let me ask another question. Let me ask, so you're down there, right? You isolated on the island of a hotel, okay? See,
Okay.
I'm over. You isolated on the island of a hotel. Did you actually get a chance to go out and do anything off-site and engage with people, interact, anything like that?
Yes, I had a rental car. So I flew into Tampa. We go to Orlando often as a family. We go to Disney Universal quite a bit, probably too much. But the flights to Orlando were crazy. I've never seen them this expensive ever in my life. So we flew into Tampa. Tampa's about an hour away from Orlando. It was about $300-$400 cheaper. The car rentals was cheaper. So if it was just my daughter and I traveling, I always rent a car. My husband, and God bless him, I agree. He wanted to make sure that we, not in somebody's Uber in Mexico somewhere. So I rented a car, and I was able, and I'm glad I did. It was $187. But because the hotel was busy because of the other conference, we were able to go to Disney Springs, Chick-fil-A, Target, and really eat there. And we went to Disney too. We went to like a Halloween party at night that they had. And so really just had a time to spend time with my daughter and I, because I wanted her to have a space outside of the conference to tell me about it. Like, what did she think about some of the people she met, some of the sessions she attended? Like, what did she really think about this from a young person's perspective? And, having that time with her away, I wanted to make sure we build our relationship. Like I said, in 2 years, my baby gonna be out the house. Like, it goes by, Mark. I mean, you could attest to this. It goes by fast. And so this trip was kind of twofold. It was to go to FinCon together and really learn and absorb together, but also to strengthen our relationship as well. And so I feel like it was a win-win on both parts. Yes, but we did go to Disney Springs and to Magic Kingdom and went out to a couple of places to eat.
Okay. So that's dope. I about to say, yeah, I had a chance. I didn't do anything too fancy. They had a spot that was called, I think, Icon Park. And down there is literally walking up and down the street, and it's just restaurant, bars. It's a like Ferris wheel, a whole bunch of hotels there. I'm like, why can't we come here? But it was dope, especially that last night. I had a chance to go down there, and I went to it was a bar, and I went into this bar, and it was like a band playing some rock music, and I was just like, it's not that big of a deal. But once they started playing some cool ass music, I was like, this music. I don't know if it was because they were playing cool music and the music got better, or I had a couple of drinks, but I was like, this band pretty good. So let me talk to this comment. Last year I did a video about how I went to FinCon and the budget got blew up. And I don't know if anybody watched that video, but I'll tell you, I don't think it's a bad habit, but I have a tendency to like. I even did it this time, but I was a little bit more structured. But if I go out like me and you go out, it's just a reflex for me to be like, hey, we having lunch. I'm gonna take care of it. It's just a thing in my profession. That's every time we downtown and go to work. That's what attorneys do. Somebody go for lunch, and so it's just kind of a habit thing. And I didn't realize how much I did it last year. So I said, I'd be damned. I got a separate budget. I got a separate budget just for treating people. And so I will tell you, Leroy, and everybody who want to know, I actually stayed within my budget. One, I think it was a little bit easier because my budget was a little bit bigger than last year. I had to increase my budget because of inflation, but I did some volunteer things, and everybody, all y'all guys who went, y'all see the volunteer opportunities that'll come out for FinCon. But because I did volunteers opportunity, I got refunded the cost of my ticket to the actual event. So I was like, yes, I can stash this over here and bolster up my budget. Now, next year, I will tell you, next year when we get to New Orleans, all of my favorite speakers, Tiff, I see you in here, Kalila, all my favorite speakers, please do not have y'all presentations on Saturday because I can't account for what I may be doing Saturday or Friday night. Mrs. DFD gonna be with me, and it may be a little bit crazy, but I did have a chance to get out, go out. I did some golfing while I was down there. I'm one of those guys. I had to learn how to play golf because unfortunately deals don't get made on the basketball court. So I had to learn how to swing that golf club. So I got a little bit of golfing while I was down there on Saturday. Saturday was like the only day it didn't rain. So it definitely ended up working out. So let me ask, what would you say? And I think people could take it away from, the people who've been tuned in, but if you're just tuning in, anybody who's thinking about attending an event or what, I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, I think this is the best question I can ask. The value that you would have gotten, because how many years you been on YouTube?
2.
2 years on YouTube. Do you think the value you would have gotten from this similar event after your first year would have, one, increased your knowledge on how to navigate this world of content creation? And what would you recommend for people who are thinking about going and those type of things? Because me, had I went to it, had I been one of those people who I thought was weird, who went before they started anything, my entire content, my YouTube channel would probably be way more advanced than what it is because I had a chance to get those gems. That's just kind of how I feel. What are your thoughts on that?
I 100% agree. I think FinCon, especially if you're thinking about doing this as a business, is totally worth the money. Totally worth the money because they help you to see it from a different perspective. A lot of times you get on YouTube, you automatically think, oh, I just want to get a lot of subscribers, but it's a strategy to this. Like, there's steps you actually have to do, connections you have to make to actually get to where you want to get to. And FinCon helped me to see it more as a business. Like, you really have to be strategic about your content, your titles, your thumbnails. You have to do collabs. You have to connect with people in your niche. When it comes to sponsorships, don't take everything that comes in your mailbox. Make sure that your audience could find some value in it because you're responsible for them. And so, I walked away from FinCon realizing like, okay, I need to not only make sure I'm staying authentic, but make sure that whether it's a short, whether it's a live, whether it's a collab with my brother right here, whether it's a regular video. Give the people value.
Right.
Don't think about money first. Don't think about subscribers first. Give them value, and they will. You were in that talk with Keenan when he was saying they would rather have 1,000 supporters than 10,000 subscribers. Why? Because the supporters are going to walk with you, as you take your journey. And, and so it helped me to see it in a different lens a little bit, because this is what I want to do, Marcus. I want to be able to, like grow this in a way where it's not just growing, but people that are coming to watch feel like that they can do it too. So, yeah, that I suggest anybody who's thinking of going, especially if you're going to be down in the New Orleans area next year, and I think people saw from like your pictures and the stories and stuff that I was sharing, like it was really a great time. Like you meet so many people, you're taking selfies, you're talking to people. And it really was like a camaraderie down there. I'm not saying everything was perfect, but in the grand scheme of things, it went really well. And I think people who are new to this would find a lot of value in it.
Right. I definitely agree. And I mean, let's just think about it today. And I'm gonna actually share the story, but yeah, you had a guest feature on someone's channel that you met there.
Yeah.
Today. And I know you probably opened your eyes up and was like, who the hell are all these people subscribing to my channel? So, I don't want to tell your news if you're going to tell it, but like things like that.
But you know what? Let me tell you, bro, this is what I talk about, like people in this space, especially when you form relationships. This all started, we were in our talk and I was trying to ask a question. Well, everybody was trying to ask questions to the three goats, right? Keenan, Larry, and Mo. Everybody was trying to ask questions. I put my hand up. They didn't see me because it's a sea of people. I put my hand back down. Marcus sat here and was like, I'm going to get their attention for you. He kept his hand up. Even when they were talking, everybody put their hand down. His hand was still up in the air. He was like, I'm going to get their attention. And he got their attention. They asked a question. He was like, yeah, my sister want to ask a question. And so I stood up. I was able to ask my question. And that was my first connection to Larry, who I was just featured on his show today. And so even when I spoke to Larry in person, and he was talking about the importance of making sure you form relationships with people who are, number one, real, and number two, have your best interests at heart. And I was like, my brother, and I don't think, you saw me talking to another woman there, and I was like, this is my brother. She was like, okay.
Right.
But, like we look out for each other because, again, we're people of color. And let me just say, and I love everybody, but the diversity, oh, like, I was like totally with it. I mean, there were other children there. So if you have kids and you're thinking like, do I want to bring my teenager? Will they find some value in it? I have little children. I saw children there. They may not have been in every session, but there were children there. But yeah, being, connecting with people, feeling comfortable to ask a question, and again, when I told Larry my story, he was like, I got to have you on a show. And that's how that all happened. But it wouldn't have happened if I couldn't get my question asked, like, hey, because he remembered and we were able to talk in the lobby, like, oh yeah, this is my journey and, and all that. So I wanted to thank you for that, because, definitely. It's about, and I'm going to share this live so that while my channel is like getting bombarded with subscribers, they can come to your channel. It's about the ripple effect. You know what I mean? You help me, I help you, and we can grow together, because by ourselves, we're not going to be able to outwit, Bank of America. And we got to do this as a community.
Definitely. Hey, you 100% right. It's funny because I did a video some time ago. Me and the homie, shout out to RBFM, raising the RFBM, raising the financial bar. My homie Mar, and we did a video. We were looking at the top 10 hip hop entrepreneurs, and we got to that list. And for me, Dr. Dre always stood out as number one. And it was like, man, why is Dr. Dre number one? And I said, there's two reasons I put Dr. Dre as number one. One, this dude started a business that was successful and walked away from it 2 times. I mean, he was in NWA and walked away, didn't get masters or nothing, went to death row, started that became a big deal, walked away, didn't get nothing, started another label that became a bigger deal. So one, to be able to walk away and these things you start is better than the last is a big thing. But two, the other reason, and it goes to your point, I don't care what you have. For me, the value is in how many people did you help. Yeah. And when I look under Dr. Dre's tree of students, you find somebody else who was on that list, 50 Cent, who's a great entrepreneur. You find Eminem. You find so many people under his tree who he helped elevate them. Now, I think Diddy is a great businessman, and I know in business you got to step on their neck sometime. But I can't find anybody underneath Diddy's tree who he elevated. So I think that kind of goes to your point that you have to elevate people and bring people along with you for the ride so they can have success. So for me, the measure of success is not what you have, but how many people did you help to get to a next level, something else, because the more dope people I know, I want you to do better than me, because if you do better than me, that's just another dope person I know that I'm cool with. You know what I mean? That's just kind of always been my view. And the last thing I got, then I'm going to punt it to you. And if we don't got any questions, we can wrap it up. The last thing I got, last year at FinCon, your story has value. You think your story on why you started anything is irrelevant. Your story had value. And I remember I saw the his and her money team. I actually saw the wife first, right? I didn't see the husband. And I'm old school. I'm not going to run up on nobody's wife as a fanboy when I know her husband is somewhere around. So I literally, that's just how I was raised. You know what I mean? So I saw his wife, and I looked around and I said, okay, I saw the big man over there. So I go talk to him first before I speak to his wife, because that's just kind of how I was raised. And in having a conversation, telling them my story of, how a brain aneurysm made me change how I was doing things financially, the first word out of their mouth was, you got to come on the show. And so now this is a process. You're talking to people who got hundreds, and this is a business for them. They also got a church. Shout out to the McNeil. Hey, they nice. Shout out to them. But they also pastor in the church right now. But they got back to me. Me and my wife did an interview on the show. We sent over our photos for the thumbnails. We know this show is going to air. It's just a matter of being patient. But people want to hear your story. Your story is what makes you unique. And you'll be amazed at how many people are in a similar situation to your story that can relate. So you got to have I call it like a 60 to 120 second elevator pitch of, this is kind of my why and how I got here. Anytime you go to these events, you got to have that 1 to 2 minute pitch that you can give somebody that tells your story, because it could be a really, really, really big deal, and change your trajectory and help get your word out to help a lot of people. Yeah, I know that was a little volume. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I agree with you. Like, that was something I was working on before I got there. Like, describe yourself, because I can be long-winded. I like to chit chat about money and things. And so, like, girl, you got to bring it down. 60 seconds. Can you say what you're about in 60 seconds? I'm like, I got a lot of things I want to say. No, you got to break it down, because like you said, you're going to come in contact with a lot of people, and you have a minute to get your point across, because there's other people there with you. And if you just tell it straight, I started at 30. Closet full of shoes, clothes, purses, spending all my money in somebody's drive-through, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Had a come into Jesus moment, couldn't pay my rent, got an eviction notice, was almost on the street with a baby. That was my turning point. Every tax refund, every bonus, every raise went to paying off a credit card. And then you get into the good habit, and because you see, like, I don't have to pay $300 to chase this month. I can keep this money. I can do whatever I want with this money. And so, again, so that is what I kind of made into my little elevator pitch. And just being able to talk to people, and you'll realize that a lot of people have a lot in common with you. Like, you'll think, oh, I got to give the best version of myself, which is not a bad thing, but just tell your story. Like I said in the beginning, everybody don't start at 20. Like, what? Like, okay, give us the real deal. Like, what happened? Like, yeah, I went shopping a lot. I was addicted to shopping.
Right.
I like it. I'll tell myself it's on sale, and so I need to get it. No, you don't need to get it. But people connect to that. Like, what's your story? Before you got here, tell us a little bit about it, so people can see themselves and feel like, okay, she did it. I can do it too. She was in a worse situation, so I can do it too. So, like you said, just being able to connect with people, share your story, because people want to know. You may not think they do, like, oh my goodness, it sounds horrible. Like nobody's gonna want to hear about this. Yeah, they're gonna want to hear about it. They're gonna want to hear about it.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you 100% right. I second everything you said. I guess my takeaway point is it. There's a lot of things out there that can help you in whatever you want to do, and there's also ways to mitigate the costs related to those things. So, like I said, FinCon got scholarships for smaller channels, for new channels, for channels who target minority populations. So always look to see what's out there. And if you don't know what's out there, y'all already know. Jump in my inbox. Don't hit me on anything but IG. I hate IG. But y'all know me, sis here. We always want to see everybody eat. That's what it's all about. There's enough out here for everybody to eat and be full at whatever it is you want to do. So that's just kind of my takeaway. And so before we close this out, sis, I want you to just kind of put your info out there, let everybody know where they can find you at, and so they could do any church announcements. Any church announcements you got, go and get those now.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on your channel. I love chit-chatting with you. Again, it was a pleasure to meet you in person. It was a pleasure to introduce my daughter to you. And I appreciate the kind words that you share with her. And so, yeah, thank you so much, bro. I'm known as Mommy Trader probably everywhere on social media. So YouTube, Mommy Trader, just type it in. Instagram, Mommy Trader YouTube channel. There is someone who's named Mommy Trader, which I thought was kind of weird. But TikTok, Mommy Trader 7, my website, mt1finance.com. But yeah, I talk a lot about the same kind of things my brother here talks about. So, come check me out if you want to. And thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate it always, and thank you for doing it. And this won't be the first or the last, because I love having dope conversations with you. Hey, everybody in the comments, hey, we about to wrap this up, and we're going to do the post-game wrap-up behind the scenes, but we're really grateful for y'all's support. Hey, I thank you for, me hitting 2K, and I got a unique giveaway. I think I got them right here because I thought about this. Now, this is going to be a giveaway. I'm not going to tell y'all when I'm going to do it, because there's people on YouTube who search a giveaway. And I'm like, damn, there's people searching giveaway, scoundrels. But I got my daughter a pair of shoes, and her feet grew between the time I ordered them and they were delivered and got them.
Oh, so my goodness.
I got some really good shoes here. I'm going to do a giveaway, but it's uniquely because it's only if you got a kid with little ass feet that's going to be applicable. Size 5. These are going to be the giveaway shoes right here. One of my favorite all-time Jordans right here. And at this stage, there's no need of even giving them back, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a giveaway and give them to somebody who either got a little ass foot or a kid with a little foot. If you're an adult and that's your shoe, God bless you. But, hey, I'm going to do a giveaway at some point to give those things away along with some other stuff, because I appreciate y'all for helping me reach 2K. And, hey, that's it. Y'all be safe. Be blessed. Take care. Peace.
Bye-bye.